On to part 2, people. Oh, the fireworks!
Lucas!
Nice!
Yeah!
He always goes for the kidneys, this asshole. Yeah! Whoa.
I just do a fist pop.
Wow, look at these shots. Damn!
Oh.
This is so visually beautiful at the same time. Scary. Yes.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
Ah!
Billy, come back to being human.
You told her. The wave was 7 feet. She was really pretty. And you.
Oh no.
Ow!
Oh, yeah! That's got a name.
Ah!
Billy? God, that is a crazy shot.
Oh my god. No. No.
Oh, Hopper.
Maybe he got sucked into the upside down. We didn't see him.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Billy, wake up. No, he can't.
Damn, she has bad luck with boyfriends. Oh, now they show up.
Hi, look who's back. Owen. Military always shows up so late in these movies and shows.
11. Oh, God.
Oh no.
3 months later.
Oh, great.
Welcome to Hawkins, Indiana.
Don't fucking
A
move
wonderful
here.
place to grow
No.
up, to raise your family, to walk your dog. But then, on July 4th, everything changed. Can a town itself be cursed? Some believe a rise in Satanism is to blame. To find out, tune in tonight at 8 p.m. for Horror in the Heartland.
Oh, they're moving?
Yeah, at this point.
I was like,
Rhymes that keep their secrets will unfold behind the clouds. Look at what you see in your face. Of your dreams.
you guys, Hopper's dead.
Who's 11 gonna be staying with?
What if you want to join another party? Not possible.
Given what's happened in my life, I can only relate to a few people.
This wise man once said, "We've got shared trauma."
So it's a little more, right?
I don't understand what's happening.
They'll come back. I know they will.
She's lost her power.
How?
I don't know.
And then I was thinking maybe you could come up here for Christmas, and Will too. You can come before or after
Oh.
Christmas. You can have Christmas fires once, but
She's
I was
gonna
thinking
go live with
Christmas Day
them.
could be super fun because we'd all have cool new presents to play with, and
I like presents too.
yeah, cool, yeah. I like presents too.
You talked about your feelings, your heart.
Oh, yeah, that. Man, that was so long ago. But no, it's just heat of the moment stuff, and what did I say exactly?
Oh, she heard him?
Mike. I love you too.
His eyes are open.
He doesn't know how to process this.
Move with them.
Yeah.
He's like 10.
We never see Mike's families.
Oh.
That's right.
He never talked to you, did he? Can I read?
Feelings. Jesus. The truth is, for so long I'd forgotten what those even were. And then I left some egos out in the woods and you came into my life. And for the first time in a long time, I started to feel things again. I started to feel happy. But lately, I guess I've been feeling distant from you. Like you're pulling away from me or something. I miss playing board games every night. Watching westerns together before we doze off. But I know you're getting older. If I'm being really honest, that's what scares me. I don't want things to change. And so I think maybe that's why I came in here. To try to maybe stop that change. But I know that's naive. It's just not how life works. It's moving. Always moving, whether you like it or not. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's sad. And sometimes It's surprising. Keep on growing up, kid. Don't let me stop you. Remember the hurt. The hurt is good. It means you're out of that cave. But please, if you don't mind, keep the door open 3 inches.
Are you okay?
You crying, pussy?
I feel like we should break up.
Whoa. All right, let's do it on camera. You're not the American. You're not the American.
Yeah.
Я не беру, я не прошу вас.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. They said not the American.
Yeah, they said not the American. It's gotta
Could be Hopper. It could be Hopper.
Or Matthew Modine. I know at the end of the last season, that guy they go to visit in the episode everybody hates, he's like, he's still out there, he's still alive. And they're like, no, he's dead. And he's like, no, he's still alive.
No, it's fucking Hopper, John.
Who's Matthew Modine?
Yeah.
The white-haired guy, Papa, from the first season. The evil scientist who always shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And then in season 2, they're like, he's still alive. And they're like, no, we killed him. And then he's like, no, he's
No,
still
no,
alive.
no. It's gotta be Hopper.
Could be Hopper.
You thought the Russians were like trying to do the
I
right
know.
thing.
Okay,
Let's not forget.
Let's not forget how
Let's not
wrong
forget
you did this.
how terrible your theories
That's
are,
right.
John.
That's right. I won't guess any longer. I'm just going to repeat the plot that's already happened to solidify.
All right, let's review the show.
Woo! I cried. Cried a bit. Cried quite a lot. If there wasn't a camera, I'd be bawling my eyes out. I'd had an ugly face the whole time. Felt it. Felt my face wanting to do that. But it's one of those things where, like, if my face is doing that, but I'm not, gushing tears, I'm just gonna look stupid. I look stupid either way. That's what I thought of season 3, guys.
I think you want to look stupid while being aware that people might think so. Nobody wants to look stupid obliviously.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why.
Great commentary.
Definitely.
This is it. This is what you guys subscribe for.
Really
to
bummed
make it to
Jake
the end.
Busey didn't come back.
I think they're going to make it to, I think season 4 is going to take place 20 years later where they're all adults now.
Like
they're going to
it.
come back to Hawkins. Yeah.
That's gonna be exactly
they're
like it.
They're going to riff so much on it. No, in all seriousness, I thought this was a great season finale. I thought they nailed it for the most part.
Thick.
Actually, yeah, Jake Busey never came back.
Nah,
All
it's
that
just
hype about
evil.
him being in season 3 of Stranger Things, and he didn't really even do much in this season, actually.
Oh, he's a one-dimensional douche, and then he's a monster for an episode.
But it is one of those shows that even if you got a one-dimensional little tiny role, you're going to be like, yeah, I'll come back.
It's just an honor to be around, yeah.
I'll do it. I'd love to be a part of it.
Join the
Sure.
family.
Whatever the
I'll
hell
be
you
an
want.
extra.
Yeah, I'll
Whatever.
get killed. Whatever the hell you want me to do, I'll do it. Yeah, it's one of those shows where you would say yes to. So, Olivia, you want to talk about Billy's death?
Oh, very sad.
Did you cry? Did you ugly cry?
I cried. I didn't ugly cry. I don't ugly cry. You ugly cry.
I do ugly cry.
You
I ugly cry quite a bit.
I don't.
I attractive cry. I'm more
I
handsome when I cry.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was really well foreshadowed. I feel like
Yeah.
we all sort of, I don't remember half the things we talk about after we're done filming, but I feel like
I
one of
didn't
us.
see how he could have come back from that. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we all sort of saw that going into his psyche was somehow going to come into play with defeating the big baddie at the end of it all, which I That worked really well. That was the most I've ever felt for Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been like, it's kind of a bummer. He's a dick, though. Even when he's not fucking possessed by something, he's still a dick.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, like this show really did a great job through a crazy visual palette of really making you understand why he is the way he is. It's a heartbreaker of an ending because the guy has obviously just been in pain for so long.
Yeah.
And now he's like physically suffering through this whole season. And it's cool that he did get to have a moment of redemption, truly have a great sacrifice, which, by the way, that was
brutal.
It was brutal the way he died, but that whole sequence with the mind flare in the center of the Starcourt Mall
Yeah.
and all the fireworks, that was some of the most beautiful television I've ever seen. It's a scary moment. It's like really, really intense. But I can't help but go, it also looks so beautiful. Look at how they're doing this. This is great.
This episode especially is really good at jumping back and forth between beautiful, gripping spectacle
Yes.
and then jumping back right into little character beats and stuff like that. And I thought that, you know, for season 3's finale, 1 and 2 both kind of end with Elle closing something, you know, very dramatically. And so to make the choice that her powers aren't the cure-all for everything seemed like an appropriate place to go at the end of season 3.
What happened with her powers exactly, though? That's not really explained. I mean, they don't always explain everything at the end of every season. I get that.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing like zapped her of her powers. I feel like maybe we just missed.
But she used her powers to
I feel
get
like
the
that's,
thing out of
and
her.
after that, she wasn't able. I feel like it took everything out of her, and she just made a comment of, "Oh, I just need to recharge."
Yes, I don't even think she knows. She doesn't know what's wrong, and I just kind of took that as something to do with having the mind flayer like physically inside of her body did something weird. You know? And yeah, at least for me, that's one of those things where I'm like, you know what, I'll allow that much mystery because none of us truly know how the upside down creatures work.
Yeah.
You know?
It was just so rewarding to also have them all come back together. I even credit season 2 for doing that really well. For when they all finally come together in the penultimate episode, and this one they come together at the beginning of this episode, which is just so cool to see them all unite. And I think it's great that Murray got a lot more to do this time around and really get a chance to shine.
And his conspiracy, like the thing that's always played for a joke, comes in super handy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the thing with the Russian girl and like all that, you know, and then they
Yes.
come back around and find that he's like fluent.
Susie!
Susie!
Is Susie gonna join the cast? She better join the cast.
I thought they were gonna have Phoebe Cates come in as Susie's mom. I legit thought, because they kept being like, she's hotter than Phoebe Cates, and I'm like, I thought they were gonna pull some kind of a moment there. I mean, they did a little bit with the cutout of her, but yeah, it was like that was a really nice bookend.
Yes.
You know, for the episode, and also yeah, with the number, I thought that was a really nice character detail of like Murray just got the number wrong. You know,
Because of their Captain America conversation about going on that date. That's when it hit me like, one of them's gonna die.
Yeah.
I just know it. One of them's gonna die, right? This is all too good. Let's get into this resolution.
I don't think he's dead. We
I
did
don't think
not
he's
see
dead.
him disappear.
No.
We did not see him like evaporate, so I don't think he's dead.
I mean, in season 1, they did the same thing with 11, except that looked more like a finite death.
Yeah.
We didn't see what happened with Hopper, and I feel like if they did want to be like, no, he's actually dead, we would have seen it. There was still something that felt a little bit unresolved. Like, granted, when it was getting to the moment where 11 was reading the letter, and then you would cut to Hopper and you see him writing the letter, that was really getting me in the feels, because despite the fact that I'm not under the belief that, David Harbour's not coming back for season 4, I'm not under that belief. The moment of the characters, and especially Millie Bobby Brown's acting of reacting to the letter, that really got me at a really hardcore
She's so
level.
good this entire season.
She's
Oh,
amazing. This is
so good.
It's like, people can argue that it's always been her show, but I feel like this season more than the others, especially because she's not quiet at all. She's interacting with a lot of people in this whole season. She gets some of the biggest, emotional moments throughout. I feel like this is really her season.
this is her coming out of her shell a lot this
Yeah.
season for sure. And again, it's always that thrust of the character growth that helps to tie everything in and make it also compelling But there were also just like so many fist whooping like fun moments, and they're really good at making you forget about people. Like throughout this episode, I would forget about a plot thread, and it's like when Steve shows back up with the car, little different things like that. They're great at turning up the heat and the intensity to where you're not thinking about everybody.
Well, yeah, the immediate situation really.
And this whole episode is just like one immediate situation.
Yes.
And to watch them all now have to work together via radio after being separated and all this. It's like, it's cool because you get them all back together for a minute, but then they all have to work together remotely. And that's really fun to watch too, because it also goes just further down the rabbit hole of that childlike, you know, like they're always on the walkie-talkies, like doing crazy stuff. And now they have like a legit operation run with his radio tower and everything.
Overall season thoughts, though. I kind of felt a little bit of a lackluster development with Will, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought they had a great, like, cool setup with their character of him feeling... I mean, it ends in a way that leads to what they were kind of talking about early on in this season of we're not always going to be together. In fact, now they're really not always going to be together. They're living apart. I like the commitment to Joyce actually leaving Hawkins. That just makes sense on a character level. That makes the most sense that she would make the decision that they're gonna leave Hawkins,
especially with no Hopper.
After all this trauma. Yeah, they're gonna leave. Mike did not feel like a lead at all, and not that he's supposed to feel like a lead. He did feel more like a supporting character here. Although I did really like a lot of times, you know, when shows when they get together and then they're not together, but you want them to get back together, I can get kind of annoyed with that. But I thought this season handled it really well, to the point where when Eleven does say to Mike that she loves him too, I found that to be a very rewarding moment, and it felt well earned. And Mike still did have growth in his character, but he did feel more like a supporting character this season time around. Jonathan got the most to do this episode.
Mike felt like a support to Elle, and then Jonathan's a support to Nancy a lot of the time.
It felt like Hopper and Joyce's show and Eleven's show. this specific. It's like they had the multiple storylines going on. Where Eleven is, that's her storyline. Where Dustin and Steve are, that's their storyline. You know, Hopper and Joyce are, that's their storyline. And they felt like they were the main leads. And it was cool to hand off some reins to Dustin for this episode too.
Yeah.
Because in the last season, Dustin kind of did some stuff that wasn't a good choice on his end, made some mistakes, really backfired. And then here, he really gets to shine a lot. And Steve is just like... To think about where Steve has come since season 1, it's insane. You know, Billy does not have that level of arc, obviously. But for Steve to go from like ultimate douchebag to probably like the most likable character and a fan favorite to many, I think is incredible.
Like, truly learning about life. And they even worked in Gaten Matarazzo's pipes. He's been on Broadway. Like he's like a legit singer. I have a feeling that's why they put that in there, because half the cast are like involved in bands or music, and he's done Broadway roles, singing and stuff. So I thought that was really cheeky that they threw that in.
That's really adorable.
Yeah, and Erica too. She was a really nice like welcome. I thought there were some nice new characters this season. Nobody I thought was flat. Like sometimes new characters can be hit or miss.
Erica was in season 2, wasn't she? Briefly.
But not as like
she wasn't a character
ensemble player.
No, she was
like her and Alexi, Carrie Elwes. Like Carrie Elwes didn't have like a lot of nuance to play, but I mean he showed up and had a good time, and I had fun watching him. You know?
Yeah,
and it was nice to even see Paul Reiser come back for a scene.
Just
to keep the universe feeling big.
Yeah, well, that credit. I mean, they have to come back to Hawkins for some reason, or are they going to Russia? I find it interesting for season 4 if they went out of Hawkins,
or at least partially. Part of me was thinking, like, well, maybe there's every season now will take place over the holidays when they can all get together, and just only weird shit happens when they get together on
Thanksgiving,
vacation.
Yes,
Christmas.
But to have it actually leave and to kind of spread to the world now, I think would be appropriate, because like 3 times in Hawkins, I think is maybe.
Well, it made sense, and I like the way, other than its mid-credit stinger, this could have been the way to be like, if we don't want to come back, we don't have to come back.
Yeah, if Netflix continues canceling everything.
After 3 seasons, too.
Yeah,
so.
that mid-credit scene's the one that leaves it for like, oh, what's going to happen in season 4? But, the fact that they tell us that not only outside of Hawkins, but outside of America, there's a way to get into the Upside Down.
Especially after they said they'd failed in Russia before, so it's like, where did this Demogorgon come from? What are you guys doing? New intrigue.
Yeah, there's new places to go to. Oh, so Hopper got to kill Arnold, which we all saw coming. It was still very rewarding, though. It's one of those things where you're like, we know what's going to happen, but it's going to be awesome.
He got to rewardingly kill him twice, even though the first time it's like he leaves before he gets back up. So in that moment, technically Hopper does kind of win there.
And Hopper wouldn't have been able to walk past all that electricity going off, right?
No.
Yeah, there's no
Nah, because I mean, if that's the stuff that explodes out and vaporizes everybody anyway, you know, like I'm sure he would be.
He's got to be the American. He's got to be. From an audience perspective, they wouldn't have teased. I feel like they would want to let us know, like, no, don't worry. There's a chance. There's a chance. You know?
Honestly, there's probably now I'm thinking of all the other characters who haven't died but who have vanished who are Americans.
Barb's in there?
Yeah, right. I was like,
Barb's done?
I think Hopper would certainly
They found her body, yeah.
reanimate Barb, bring her back again.
Yeah.
Season 4, the big bad is just
Reanimated
a reanimated
Barb.
Barb. I mean, I think that's a good teaser for Hop, but I also kind of hope in the back of my mind that it's maybe something like very unexpected, but also under our noses. Because I don't know, there's a lot of ways Hop could come back, theoretically.
Well, where would you rank this season?
I mean, it just ended. Thus far, to me, the seasons have kind of improved as they've gone. I thought 1 was all right. I liked 2 a lot, and I had a great time watching this.
I think this is my favorite season so far, so I would put 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, I'd probably say 3, 1, 2 as well. I'm pretty surprised by how many people have come out and said that this is probably their favorite season so far. Yeah.
There's just a few nitpicks I have. Like, I do wish we got more with Billy's arc, really. I wish we got more Billy Max moments, if that makes sense.
That was one of my nitpicks,
Yeah.
too, is that in this 3-month later jump, we didn't see any of how this affected Max.
Last season, he was such an ass to even Max.
Yeah.
Like, and she cares so deeply for him, like, out of nowhere. I get that, but, like, they kind of hated each other last season,
Yeah.
you know? And so this deep caring really kind of comes out of nowhere. I get the emotion because they are related, but I do wish we got more of that behind the scenes look between them, like maybe little scenes, and even in his memories of him like caring for her, and that's why they're so deeply connected behind the scenes, is they have those little moments, but we didn't get that. So I do
that's
wish
fair.
we saw
That's
some
fair.
of that.
Maybe even a tad more of his internal struggle, because one of the
Yeah.
most interesting things about a lot of his action moments is the fact that in his performance, you know, you see the anguish and the struggle and the fact that Billy's still there even though his body's doing all these terrible things. It was nice to have those nuggets, but I thought they could have made more, especially if they're going to kill him off and they want that to have a huge impact.
Well, he's like the focused central bad guy in the first half of the season. And then honestly, when he showed up in the car at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, Billy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about like all the other bad guys, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mind Flayer, Russians. I'm like, oh yeah, there's the Billy. Yeah, I kind of, not that I felt that this was rushed. It's that weird feeling of, I thought actually 8 episodes made this a really tight season, and it doesn't feel like it was rushed. At the same time, I do feel a little bit left empty on certain things that didn't fully
There's certain plot
really
lines
hit
that
it.
could have been a little more robust or could have been a little more fleshed.
Or even Joyce with Bob, they set up like she's still grieving over it, and we didn't really see, you know, she doesn't have a conversation, there's nothing that happens to show that she's over it, you know, other than like, I'll go on a date with you, but still, you know, I'm like, this season took place in like 2 days, you know.
And we still really get a disconnect of Jonathan from his family. Like, there is no, she really doesn't go to check on Jonathan, she goes to check on Will. Jonathan's not really connected with Will or Joyce.
Jonathan's not really connected to the show anymore.
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten over the course of this season is the fact that Nancy and Mike are siblings. I completely forgot that Mike is a part of that family.
I was telling her that in the car yesterday.
Yeah.
I forgot what scene happened, but then I was like driving, like, you know, I actually forgot that they were siblings.
Because they don't have leave it out.
When Nancy and Karen were having a conversation, I remember having a thought of going, how does she tie into this show? Like Nancy and all them is just because she was dating Steve or something. Yeah. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, she's the sister. I forgot. It wasn't until they're looking for Will. Like, where's Will? And then Jonathan and Nancy are together. I'm like, oh yeah, they're related. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I think some of the dynamics of elements of the ensemble. The thing is, 1 and 2 really hone in on this, and then 3 hones in on other parts. Because probably the biggest takeaway with season 1, beyond 11, was the kids. You know, Mike, Will, Lucas, Dustin. They're like the kids.
Camaraderie, heart.
Yeah. And then that's not really the centerpiece of this season. You know, whereas like season 1, that was the huge thing. Those fucking kids are amazing. And then here, they do feel more like supporting players, or they have their own separate things going on. It's like, well, there's 4 of them over here, and then there's you can't just do a season with all 5 of them together.
Yeah, well, and now the world
Or
has
4 of them.
expanded to such a point. I feel like in the first season, you naturally get that time because you're just discovering it through them, and now we've got so much to deal with. It is different now. It has grown, and I do appreciate the ways it is maturing. You know, as a show that's growing, I like that they made some decisions about characters moving on from things, or us literally leaving certain characters behind, or things like that.
Well, it just makes sense because as humans get older, you do get girlfriends and you move on from certain friends and whatnot. You stop hanging out with them as much as you would.
And people mature at different rates.
Correct.
That's true.
So I even wonder if, like, maybe next season we will barely get any Jonathan and Nancy, because really what role will they play? They really don't tie into the family bond as much.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like we don't really need their characters anymore.
Is Nancy still working at the newspaper? Did Nancy write that
Are they
article?
still evil?
Did she figure out that she was? Did she,
Are all of those men at the newspaper still evil?
oh, they're dead now, right?
They're dead, yeah.
All of them?
Well, I kind of got the impression that most of those people are from, I'm sure some of them are off camera were, yeah, those were the main 2 dudes, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, oh, pretty much the whole boardroom there. But yeah, I mean, there was no real wraparound of that either with Nancy, I felt. I tend to have issues with time jumps in season finales. While I thought what they presented us was very effective, there are things in hindsight after talking for 15 minutes that I'm like, wait a minute, there are some things I did not get a wrap up on that I felt that for this chapter, or this book, or whatever you want to call it, of season 3, I thought there would be a better wraparound, especially because you set up that whole thing with Nancy working with the paper, was like, what's going on with the Post. They're gonna have something with an article at the end where Nancy's like, oh, she's doing it,
Yeah, it didn't seem like they did as much tying up. Will and his family are leaving town, and that's kind of the big note you leave off on is, oh, we're breaking up the gang. But yeah, you don't really get here's a cap off to every individual story.
Even when they mentioned that Starcourt was buying up all these other properties, like, really what happened with that? There's a lot of, like, loose ends still, but maybe that's the point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some stuff, I guess.
There are things I've like tuned in for season 4, but there are things I guess we're left to ponder so that we can uncover it in season 4.
Yeah, well, and time will pass, and we'll all get a few days for the thoughts to sink in.
And knowing how these kids grow, they'll be 45 by
the joke of next season's gonna be that one of them has a mustache now, or something like that. And like one of them looks crazy different, maybe buffer, sexier now because they're 16.
I do wish Will. If we do get to season 4, that's the next concern. I'm like, Netflix has a habit of canceling, like, shows right out of season 3.
Oh, they're not canceling this though.
This
is their one event
Will needs
show.
A haircut.
Will needs a haircut.
Will needs a different haircut, and Will needs a storyline. We need to know more about who Will is as a human, and the boys. Like, we got a lot about Elle, so I would like to know more about who a lot of the other characters are.
Season 4 is gonna be the Lucas season.
It might as well be at this point, right? I mean, it seems like the right step. Maybe Lucas and Erica finally getting along or something like that. It could be a good way to develop the show.
Or Max. Now, where does she come?
I mean, Max was mainly a support to enhance Eleven's storyline. That's what I mean. It's like they have these, like, I feel like what they do really well is they never lose sight of who their characters are, but they sort of treat their players per season as like chess pieces and which way they want them to help maneuver the specific story they're telling for this season. So I do feel like for season 4, probably get a little more Lucas focus. It's a new energy drink. Lucas Focus.
It's just got him on the side with that wrist rocket.
I mean, he did get a couple of cool shining moments in this, with the slingshot and the firework dynamite effect. That was all Lucas there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan just didn't come back for season 4.
I wouldn't be surprised.
This show didn't seem to care about him in this one. And it makes...
Or even Nancy, if they were just like, oh no, they went off to college and they're in some different state, I wouldn't be surprised if they just, like, wrote it that way.
I mean, Nancy grew on me. I was kind of surprised by how good of a shot she was. She's really good with the guns.
Is there anything in previous seasons about her learning to shoot?
Always that's what bothers me. I'm like, where did she ever learn to shoot?
I thought you were like cheerleader personality. Your dad doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would take you shooting.
Mouth things are like moving around. And...
Yeah, I mean, but even with Billy at the car, he's like so fun. I'm like, have you ever tried firing a gun? It is not easy to
She's not that good a shot. She couldn't hit him in the head. She just
She
hit
got the
rest of car.
windshield right where he was. That's still really hard, man. That is very hard.
Nah, she still didn't quite get there.
I mean,
That is still hard.
that's very. I remember,
Guys, have you ever fired a gun? It's
Yes.
easy. Just
No,
point.
no.
go target shooting sometime? It's like,
Guys,
why are none of my bullets hitting the
I
target?
know what I'm
I don't
talking
know.
about, and I'm being serious. All right, I know this shit. Physics.
But yeah, I did think this was a really tightly constructed season, and I thought the things that it mainly cared to focus on, I thought excelled so well that the things that I'm overall questionable about or feel a little bit not as fulfilled on are things that I have to think about.
Yeah.
They're not really the things that the show
have to
ends, and I'm
nitpick.
like, what the hell? You know? I had to go, oh, wait, yeah, actually thinking about this, I found this a little unsatisfactory, because especially with Will, you know? Like, Will was probably the biggest upset for me, because he had the whole setup with them in the beginning. It seemed like they were hinting that he's possibly gay, which I think would be cool to explore. At least that's what it came across to me as.
That one moment.
But most of his scenes are
Yeah.
the thing you already got, all you guys are already aware of. Yeah, it's here. You know?
Oh, you hear
Like-
that thing on the roof? Well, I'm gonna let you know.
You know
now.
why we're all quiet? Oh yeah. You know, that's I'm giving you just an extra confirmation by the chills on the back of my neck. You know,
No, it's good to know when it's right here.
that's pretty much what he did this season. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you guys already know. Oh yeah, I know too, because I have. Yeah.
That could be a thing. I mean, you know, passage of time and all, but I did think
But
that
why
in
is
the
he
first...
still connected? Why can he still feel that?
Well, I mean, that was the thing I took as, yeah, just like he's had these experiences. He's been in the Upside Down for so long. He's had the creature physically inside him. I'm sure there's residual left over from that at some
Inside
point.
him.
You know, he doesn't have the hive mind, but he can sense it. The thing with this season, for certain characters anyway, I thought, and especially Will, was the first half of the season, it felt like there was a character story happening, him having a rift with his friends, that whole thing where he goes and destroys Castle Byers and stuff in a moment of anguish. And then once that other scene comes up where Lucas is like, no, it was a good campaign, he's like, I'm over it now. The plot's kicked in, and it feels like the plot
We
overtook.
have to move on from this.
It's like whatever was developing there, I just don't think there was, for this plot, time and space to have
Yeah.
a real story of that variety. So I hope, that in the future...
Because they had less of a dramatic setup with Dustin, and somehow that felt really rewarding by
Yeah.
the end. Even though it was like a couple of lines, it was like, hey, actually, I really like that. That's great. They're all together, you know.
Honestly, I could see myself like in a day or two just rewatching the season again, just for.
You mean without all these lights and maybe during the nighttime, the best way to absorb
Exactly.
a darkly lit
Crazy.
show? Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, guys. Well, I'm grateful if you guys have stuck with us since the beginning of this season. Been a great journey. Stick around. We got plenty more to upload, I'm sure. Comic-Con's coming up.
Yeah.
We got stuff to upload. And who knows what the next show will be. Game of Thrones and Stranger Things. We need another event show. A reason. But we also have other shows on Patreon. See how I did that? Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. I'm not looking at the camera when I say things. I find that I like to be rude that way. I just
Makes you feel
make you
powerful,
think
you
that
know?
like I don't really give a shit for you to subscribe by not really making eye contact with you. I'm really looking for the next person to shout out here. Last episode, I completely forgot that I've been doing Patron of the Day shout outs, the patrons who watch Stranger Things, and I completely forgot to shout someone out. So here it is, last one. Totally jumbled, TJ.
Tej?
My man, how old is your daughter now? Is she older than 1 since I saw you 2 months ago? How's everything going? You know, we've said plenty of things about TJ, John and I. You met TJ.
Yes.
What did you think about TJ? Tell it to the camera, to TJ, by looking in the camera and talking to a bunch of people. But give the message to TJ.
I thought you were a very nice man.
Man,
TJ's a man, right?
you're kind of stretching it a little bit. Not so much of a man.
That man who came to your apartment, he seemed nice.
Kind of like
That
kind of like a
you were
big
very
boy.
nice,
Big boy.
and you seemed very friendly and
That's a kind of nice.
kind
And that's
And-
a kind of kindness.
welcoming
Also a way to be nice.
These are some of the most general things you could say about anyone.
and friendly. Did
Oh.
I already say that?
Affable. He's affable.
Affable?
Mm-hmm.
I'll make this
gregarious.
very gregarious. You had a great laugh, and you have a child. That's nice.
That's a quality.
That's a great quality
And
in
a
a
fact.
human being. Thanks for repopulating the earth.
Yeah, doing your part.
Did it all by herself.
See, it's not
Just
that
through
hard.
touching himself, he managed to do it.
Can you imagine though, if that's
That
all
would be
it
the
took?
power.
That would be all.
That would be nice.
The world would have died a long time. There would be no resources. Thousands of children each time. God, if every sperm was truly sacred, and they didn't have to fight to the death.
Shout out.
That's for you.